The presentation that you guys are about to see today is part of a project that several classes have been working on in collaboration with the Philadelphia Zoo. The objective of the project is to educate students about the effects of climate change on wildlife. My STEM 1 class worked to develop this presentation. Mrs. Miscali's career art students worked on developing the logo for our campaign. The logo that you see behind me was designed by Brian Cronin. And Mr. Blumenstein's environmental issues seminar students are going to pick up where we leave off and be doing some things around the school related to this project. What I'm going to do right now is introduce a student of mine, Senior Devin Tabor, who will introduce to you Recharge Nature.
Look at this picture. This is a map showing the electricity usage of the world. As you can see, the United States is one of the top offenders. According to the U.S. Information Administration, the United States uses 20% of the world's power. That's ridiculous. The United States has only 1/25 the world's population, yet we use 1/5 the world's power. We're only 300 million people out of 7 billion. This presentation is about the effects overconsumption is having on our planet. Oh, wait, we're going to go to that video now.
Yeah, you don't.
That was my bad. We're now going to go to view a short video where we challenge our staff and students to see their understanding of energy and climate change.
What is progress? I think that's too hard a question.
When I think of the word progress,
Our flag is red, black, and blue, but our nation is rainbow.
Progress will not come easy, it will not come quick. But today, we had an opportunity to move forward.
In using TV and charging my phone most of the day.
Well, I use a phone a lot, so I guess that would be one.
With like charging my cell phone, charging our phones, computers.
Using a cell phone.
Okay, so I keep my charger plugged in.
I'm constantly on my smartphone.
I leave my phone plugged in when it's done charging.
Wasting gas driving every day.
Turning the heat up to like 500 degrees when it's -10 outside.
Leaving my TV on all night, playing Xbox.
I consume energy in a variety of ways. Through use of electricity in my car, fossil fuels, and gas, electricity, natural gas. When I recycle, every day I use energy. Plugging in my cell phone. We all have a big carbon footprint. All right. Next question.
Things that start out to seem like improvements or progress. These things are very seductive. It seems like there's no downside to these. But when they reach a certain scale, they turn out to be dead ends or traps. I came up with the term progress trap to define human behaviors that sort of seem to be good things, seem to provide benefits in the short term, but which ultimately lead to disaster because they're unsustainable. And one example would be going right back into the old Stone Age, the time of when our ancestors were hunting mammoths. They reached a point where their weaponry and their hunting techniques got so good that they destroyed hunting as a way of life throughout most of the world. The people who discovered how to kill 2 mammoths instead of 1 had made real progress. But the people who discovered that they could eat really well by driving a whole herd over a cliff and kill 200 at once had fallen into a progress trap. They'd made too much progress. Our physical bodies and our physical brains, as far as we can tell, have changed very little in the past 50,000 years. We've only been living in civilization for the last 5,000 years at the most, which is less than 0.2% of our evolutionary history. So the other 99.8, we were hunters and gatherers, and that is the kind of way of life that made us. We are essentially the same people as those Stone Age hunters. What makes our way of life different from theirs is culture has taken off at an exponential rate and has really become completely detached from the pace of natural evolution. So we are running 21st century software, our knowledge, on hardware that hasn't been upgraded for 50,000 years. And this lies at the core of many of our problems. All of this is because our human nature is back in the hunting-gathering era of the old Stone Age, whereas our knowledge and our technology, in other words, our ability to do both good and harm to ourselves and to the world in general, has grown out of all proportion.
It's the weather stuff, and then global warming.
I think climate change is when the overall weather changes in different areas, like hot to cold, or rainy to drought.
New seasons come in, like snow and rain and all that.
The change in weather patterns in our Earth.
It is a change in the weather or basic habits that can influence the environment.
Basically, the weather changing. It's the change in temperatures in a certain area, whether it be by the rain, drought, flooding or something like that.
You know, you start to see warmer winters, colder summers, and just, things start to are a little bit differently. It's kind of out of whack.
Define climate change. Climate change, well, I would say as global warming, as a rise in the global temperature, as climate change occurs, and if global warming occurs, for example, the ice caps melt, water comes down, now we have a rise in the water level, it could be catastrophic to the planet, the Earth. It's climate change. It's shifting all regions of the planet. Thank you. Okay, next one.
I don't know. I have no idea.
I know what a fossil fuel is.
Fossilized remains of dinosaurs, other ancient creatures, planet matter that has been in extreme pressures for such a long time that it turns into petroleum and oil.
When they use like oil or whatever, you know what I mean, like oil, blah blah blah.
Coal and gas.
I have absolutely no clue what fossil fuels are.
Fossil fuels are plants and animals millions of years old that die
die and decompose and turn into crude oil and use it for gasoline, petroleum-based products with it. And it's basically like liquid dinosaurs.
Fossil fuels? Geez, long time since I learned history. I hope I'm not on some like prank show. Fossil fuels, I guess, I don't know the specifics, but you know, when you on Earth, you know, I guess certain types of fossils, you go down so far, kind of gives off gases. You able to use those for something? I don't know.
Fossil fuels. Well, fossil fuels come from hence the word fossil, buried, dead plants, animals, formed as fuels of natural gas, coal, which we use and consume, which we could overconsume.
Now, it's more likely that we're going to come to grief because of environmental problems. If we do, then that is really nature saying the experiment of civilization is a failed evolutionary experiment, that making apes smarter is a dead end. So it's up to us to prove nature wrong in a sense, to show that we can take control of our own destinies and behave in a wise way that will ensure the continuation of the experiment of civilization.
All living organic materials contain carbon. A large amount of organic matter, mostly plants, was buried in sediment on Earth a long time ago. Over the course of millions of years, this dead organic matter evolved into carbon-based fuels, or so-called fossil fuels. Things such as oil, coal, and natural gas are considered fossil fuels. We burn these fuels for electricity, heat, gas, etc. When we burn these carbon-based fuels, carbon dioxide is produced, a greenhouse gas. This leads to global warming, a gradual increase in the overall temperature of the planet. Climate change, by definition, is a change in the Earth's climate over a long period of time, especially a change due to an increase in the average atmospheric temperature. 11 out of the last 12 years were the warmest years recorded. Temperature has risen 0.5 degrees within the last century. Almost all scientists agree that the burning of fossil fuels, or carbon-based fuels, is the biggest contributor to this. Our destruction of carbon sinks, such as rainforests, are destroying one of our planet's only ways to remove the excess carbon from our atmosphere. The worst part is that we're not only messing up the planet for humans, we're starting to see the effects on the wildlife that share the planet with us. During a Skype session with Philadelphia Zoo, we were able to see firsthand the effects that climate change is having on wildlife like polar bears, frogs, and butterflies. The polar bear's habitat, Arctic ice, is disappearing due to our warming planet. Polar bears rely on this ice for hunting seals, a large portion of their diet. The U.S. Geological Survey estimates that if we continue with our current electricity usage, 2/3 of the polar bear population could disappear by 2050. We're driving a species to extinction. We're affecting the polar bears directly, too. We reduce their access to food, cause a sharp decline in body condition, lower cub survival rates, increase the chance of drowning, cause a lack of access to denning areas, cause a decline in the population, and we cause polar bears to resort to cannibalism. Excess energy consumption is causing climate change, which can lead to droughts. This creates problems for the butterflies. With droughts, plants don't acquire enough water to survive. This means that plants are disappearing and making butterflies change their migration patterns. Butterflies have a time cycle on when to go to plants. But the weather is changing blossoming times. When the butterflies arrive at their destination, they won't have the abundant access to food they usually have. The decrease in food makes them change their routes to find nutrients. Many butterflies are not able to make it. This means there's a big decrease in the butterfly population as well as plant population, as butterflies play a large part in pollination. Even if you couldn't care less about the effects that we're having on wildlife, understand that this is a sign of what's to come for our own human species. Hopefully after this presentation, you want to do something about it. As part of this project, our STEM class has set up a Twitter account. You can follow us at Recharge Nature. We'll send out one tweet per day giving you ways that you can reduce your own carbon footprint. It's not as hard as you think, and we can start making a difference for wildlife. Mr. Blumenstein's environmental issues seminar students will pick up where we left off, and are going to be doing some things around the school as well to make a difference. You already may have noticed them visiting your access classes and picking up paper that was just once thrown out with the rest of the trash. We thank you for your attention today and being part of the solution.